So it's 5:30 on February 20th. Welcome to the informational meeting, our pre-town meeting gathering. So I'm going to call this meeting to order. First item is set adjust agenda. The only agenda item is to go over the budget and discuss anything anybody wants to discuss. Anybody have any changes to the agenda? Hearing none, we're going to carry on with what we got. Item 1, select board to summarize the fiscal year 2026 town budget and highlight any significant events and projects happening in Hardwick. Welcome, O'Rise. Nice to have you with us.
It's a pleasure to be here.
I assume you got your town report.
I forgot my home, but
Come to, yeah. I hope
Did you
everybody.
get one of the ones that has a good picture?
Yeah, we had some issues with the printer. So there's a picture with the dedication on page 3 that's not.
Oh, that's a good picture.
Oh, a lot of people got one that is not so good.
Why wouldn't they all be the same?
That's an excellent question, and I don't know the answer.
Who printed it? The company?
We got the discount rate.
I hope so.
we just
Yeah,
blamed,
they screwed up on some more.
So,
we just blamed it on Amanda.
all right.
That's weird.
So
Blame it on Casey.
our audience is a little thin on the ground this
Okay.
morning, or this evening, but in case anybody wants to view this, and in case O'Rise has any questions, we're gonna go through it anyway. So,
It's a good practice.
exactly, it's good practice. So I'm gonna start on page 9 of the town report, which is the page that has the estimated budget impact on a $100,000 home. I never like this page because I feel it's always a little bit misleading because we never know what the grand list is going to be, and we're not voting on this, we're voting on the budget. O'Rise.
Speaking of grand list, in the Gazette, within the last 2 weeks, I don't remember where I read it, but it was in the Gazette, there are various properties in the town of Hardwick that are being bought out and removed from the grand list.
That is correct.
Do you know what the total dollar amount will be and how that will affect future taxes on the new grand list?
So I don't have the total dollar amount at the tip of my tongue. We could probably get it. It's not
You might want it
for town
for
meeting.
town meeting.
It's-
It's roughly $16,000.
Yeah, it's not.
Is- Of all the properties that you're buying out, it's only 16,000?
Well, so
That's
some of them were.
quite a bit.
So if you think
That's
of,
not even the value of one house.
right, so some of these houses, like if you think about the motel, there wasn't much value left there when we bought it.
So, but what was the value on the grand list that was removed is what
Oh,
the question.
I see what
So
you're
that's
saying.
more, yes,
That's a
right,
good
we
question.
can answer
Yep.
that
Yeah, but
question.
that's kind of a misleading
Well, because the flood removed
because the
that.
flood removed it. You know what
Right,
I'm
but
saying?
it's still,
Yep,
if
so
the
what
grand
came
list was
off?
$1 million
Yeah.
and you had $200,000 worth of property
Correct.
That got
removed,
by the flood.
that means you only have 800,000 to raise taxes on, so you gotta raise the tax to cover that 200,000.
Correct. Correct.
And I've had people ask me what effect it has on property taxes. And I said, that's a select board question or a town
Yeah.
manager question, because as moderator, I have nothing to do with, other than moderating.
We
So-
have
That's
gotten,
the question
Yeah.
that's out there.
So
is-
that's a great question, and what we should do probably is go through, so we have that for town meeting, and
Yep.
just know the number of properties and the total value,
The
and,
grand list value.
Yep.
yeah, yes,
And there's a difference between actual value now that it's been destroyed and it's only worth 5,000.
Sure.
But on the grand list, it's 400,000.
sure, yeah, I get it.
In
So there's
case-
that, and then I also think that it's important to note that it's not, the grand list is not a static thing. So if it was $1 million last year, it wasn't gonna be $1 million this coming year anyway.
It could be 800,000 or it could be
No,
1,200,000.
we
Right.
add to our grand list nearly every year.
It never really goes down.
Right, but
Yeah.
So-
value of property,
So you may have taken off, so say, in your example, where we say maybe there was $200,000 worth of properties that came off, But there may have been $300,000 worth of new properties or improvements that came on the grant.
I understand that, but most people don't, but you're gonna wanna somehow make an explanation, because they saw
Yes.
the article that flood damage houses are off the grand list.
A few of them that were really damaged, yes.
And I understand there's one flood damage that is being bought out by Fish and Game.
Two.
Two, and what are they gonna do with those properties?
Nothing.
That's a
Same thing
fish and game
everybody-
question.
Yeah, but they're not gonna do it.
That's a fish and game question,
Well,
but I can
I
tell,
didn't know if you
Yeah.
were aware.
they're not gonna do anything with them. They would have the same deed restrictions as the town would have on a FEMA buyout program.
So, I'm assuming that properties are near rivers, brooks, lakes. Are they gonna convert them to fishing accesses? Can they do that?
They
No,
probably-
they're not gonna,
Otherwise,
they can't
why
develop,
do
them. They can't, no.
Otherwise, why would Fish and Game want?
There
Because
are
they're
things
shoreline.
that they can do in the deeds that do involve
Yeah. That's
recreation,
not the purpose, that's,
but that's not what they're gonna be
no,
doing.
they're,
Right.
it's not a bad thing. So your questions are all good, Orize, but
Yeah,
they're not, they're just good, they're questions, but they're not, they don't really affect our tax rate. We have no choice in any of this, that's.
I realize that.
So, yeah,
So-
but it's a good question, like,
But
how-
people
what
have
did
been
the,
Right.
asking me
yeah,
yeah,
if it comes
But
off.
I like questions that have a reason for asking them. What, you know, it doesn't,
but that's a
It's
great question, like, how much did the
Right.
flood, like, how much property did the
yeah, I'm not
flood
against
take
the
in
number, I'm
dollars?
just saying it's
It's not a bad question.
it's no, but it's, in the context that we're talking about, it doesn't, we have no control over it.
I realize
No,
that, but
but
it
people
still
can be
has an
curious.
effect on your tax rate.
Sure.
yep,
Like, if half the town washed away in a flood, that would be a.
Yeah, if you lost all of Woolcott Street,
Yeah,
like they've lost all of streets in other towns,
yeah.
you know, and
Oh, that's a great segue into something we're discussing in our select board.
Let's
meeting
get through
later
this
tonight.
okay.
Yes,
That was
but-
just,
but thank you for bringing up potential questions at town meeting.
That's
it.
super helpful.
because
That-
I can't ask at town meeting.
I know.
So Kaylee wants
Can I
to say
just,
something.
can I add an additional question to that? And Casey's not here, and I know that we've gotten that number from Casey before.
Yes.
Because we've asked
Mhm.
how much the value of the grand list that we've lost from the floods are.
Yes.
So that number should be readily available. Would this number, that the estimated grand list July 2025, doesn't that include those buyouts? So it doesn't include those buyouts, so that's accurate to the properties that
So,
exist,
so it's an
right?
estimate, this is exactly what
So-
it says it is, the estimated grand
Right.
list on July, that's just an estimate.
Right, so,
But
like,
it
this
would-
it kind of answers Orias's question in that this is accurate to, yes, we could have that number of how much those properties are valued, but this number doesn't include those properties, is what I'm
No, it
saying.
doesn't.
It's out there, already been removed.
Right.
So
It's an accurate,
another.
it's an accurate guess.
Yeah,
Right,
another
right.
another statement that you could make towards the grand list is this year we're going through a reappraisal process, and the grand list is going to grow exponentially, and those 26 properties, 16 or 26, 16 properties?
I don't remember the number.
19, I knew it was a teen. Those 19 properties are gonna have a very minimal effect on the reappraisals. In the,
Because they'll be zero,
Yep,
but other properties will go up
yes.
to kind of eat it. but still-
Some properties will double in value.
But they were asking how much was coming off,
Yep.
yep,
not
get-
how much you're gonna end.
I'm gonna
up.
get the answers to those questions. I wrote them down.
Yeah,
yeah, no, those are great questions.
Yeah.
Right?
And the
Such
other,
a clock.
okay, so
hey, I know that.
So I'm gonna further
have,
continue on page 9 and
hearing.
carry on with your theme
information
of
here.
the estimated grand list, and note that on this page, we're estimating a much bigger grand list than we've had in the past, because we're in the midst of a townwide reappraisal. So by July 1, we're gonna have a grand list that's more accurately reflects the value, the market value of the property. So so that grand list is going way up.
Tax assessed value, not market value. It's tricky.
No, it should get close
Yeah.
to the market value. That's what the point of doing
Right,
the
right.
assessment.
Yeah.
So currently, you're at 331 million.
Yeah, is our guess.
That was as of July 1st.
2025, that's what it will be, we
Oh,
think.
will be, okay.
Yeah, yeah. So.
Yeah, this is, okay.
Yeah, so, but that's just a guess. It's always a guess for
It
town
always
meeting.
is.
It always
It's
is.
April 1st.
So that's, and then this stuff, this page also shows that there's a decrease in the property tax rate, which of course there will be if the grand list is going up a ton, then the rate needs to come down. What this doesn't really go into at all is what we're voting on, which is the budget, so.
Correct. But people want to know what their taxes are going to be.
Yeah,
Because
but
the budget means nothing to them.
however, the thing that's just, the thing that, it's just gonna, it's more complicated this year than some years because very likely, the tax rate is gonna go down. But your property value for pretty much everybody is going up. So,
Try to explain that to them, because I've been trying.
so basically, your tax bill is probably going up.
Well,
Okay.
in some cases, it
In
could
some
come
case-
down.
Okay, in some case, not every case.
This
That's true. This is level.
this
Ideally,
reappraisal is going to
ideally,
levy.
it's not gonna be a huge, it's not gonna be a huge amount either way.
Correct.
Ideally, it's gonna be a flush and it's gonna get us to where we need to be. That's the whole idea.
It's a true up.
Is a true up, that's right. It's to get the
Alright.
value of the property
Yes.
with the real value in
Yeah.
line so that
Yeah.
you can continue on, because otherwise eventually you would be so out of whack
Yeah.
that the true value and real value and assessed value would be.
What is the
Millions of dollars.
percentage that you're off now? Because they,
We're at 72% common level of appraisal, roughly. I think that's the
I thought it
number.
was even lower, but.
It might be 60, it might have went down to 68.
I think it was in the 60s, and we also had, we have to look it up, but we had a really big spread too. Like, there's a measure, not just of what your average common level of appraisal is, but like how far out your outliers are. And
Right.
ours are pretty far out.
yes, and property is going through the roof. for
Right.
sales, so that,
Yep.
that.
Yeah. So I'm gonna turn us to page 11, which is the budget summary, and this is actually what we're gonna be discussing and voting on.
Sorry, thank you.
And, so and I guess where do I wanna take us? Right to there's a total budget line that's in bold, about 2/3 of the way down. Do you see that one, Alright.
Yeah, I've got it here, 44,
For,
4,400,000.
yes, so that's what we're voting on. And that's an increase of almost 10% over last year. And I just wanna, before diving into anything, I wanna just say in the overall, the highest level view, you could say in very rough numbers, about half of that is driven by just regular increases. So there's a cost of living increase that staff get in their wages. Our health insurance went way up. All our other insurance went up. So about half of this is just driven by the ordinary increase. The other half of roughly 200,000 is because we're proposing adding 2 positions this round. One is an additional police officer, and the other is a director of public works.
Is what?
Director of public works.
Could I just speak on that?
Yeah, yeah.
So we're not really adding one. It's one that was taken away from us before.
Yeah.
We're trying to get it back.
Yes.
So it's not really an addition.
It's an addition to.
It's one that we haven't had because we haven't been able to fill it. We're trying to fill it.
Sounds like the school.
Yeah.
Right. So I think at town meeting, people will probably have questions on that, and I'm hoping you can help with that discussion. I think,
That's between the 3 of you.
I know. So, just the short version is that the police department's been running with a pretty skeletal crew. Well, maybe skeletal painted in, maybe it's a poor word, but it's not the robust staffing that our police chief would like to have. And even adding one more doesn't make it robust exactly, but it makes it more predictable, and so he's much more certain he's gonna have people to cover the shifts.
And if I could just make a comment, being in that building for the last few years up at the police station,
Oh, yeah.
doing taxes with AARP and also part of the senior group, the police department comes in, visits with us, checks in on us, and are very hospitable to us, and we've included them in some of our stuff. And I think your police department is top-notch after talking with some people in other towns and cities.
Yeah, great, that's
And
great to hear.
traveling to different states where my kids are located.
I heard similar things when I was traveling around getting signatures for my petition to get back on the ballot.
You're running again.
Sorry. Disappointing.
Yeah, one of us may not be here next meeting.
That's true. Maybe it'll be me. That would be
No, I bet it
nice.
won't be. If I'm a bet, man, my money's not on
I have
you.
not seen any place where candidates for select board have been announced.
Oh, we should get
Well, we
Paul
could-
Fix on
I have
that.
not
Yeah,
seen
usually
it.
the Gazette
If I
does that.
missed it in the Gazette, but I have not seen who's
I haven't
running.
seen it either.
I'm running all right.
Okay.
I am, and
Justin Lander.
yeah, Justin Lander and
Tim Riccadello.
Tim. I knew it was, I'm like, there's gotta be some.
Tim's
Sitting
up
right next to
again?
I know.
And who was the other name?
Justin Lander.
Landry.
Lander.
Oh, I know him, yeah.
So,
Tim's running for the 3-year seat that I'm currently in, and Eric and I and Justin are running for 1 year, 2 1-year seats.
So there's 3 of you running for the 2 one-year seats.
Correct.
Okay. People ask.
yeah, so so we touched on the police position a little bit that we want to put back in the budget. And then, which maybe that's how I should say it, we want to put it back in the budget. And then the other position is this Director of Public Works. That is a brand new position, and the idea with that is that, I think it all started with the flooding and the, just the strain that that's put on our staff, trying to keep everything moving forward, trying to make sure we get all the funding we can get to the repairs that we need, and all these funding things turn into little mini projects, or some of them are really big projects. So everything, like, from a culvert to a bridge to,
Mother Bay.
yeah, like all these things are projects, and there is funding or has been, so far, funding available for them. But what the town needs to provide, in addition to some match money in some cases, is we need to provide project management. We need to provide all the things that go along with that, make sure that
Oversight, and to make sure
Yeah,
that no one's
oversight.
taking advantage of us.
the whole thing, and it all just takes time. So
Would that include the sewer
But-
and water, or just?
Are we clear that the position is not gonna be just a grant
Correct.
position? Okay.
Oh, yeah.
But I
That's a
think
big
that
part of
that's
the
what
job.
pushed us, I think that's what pushed us
Well,
over the
yes.
edge.
Yeah, yeah,
And then
absolutely.
Opie has said that he thinks this is a long overdue addition.
Yeah, you know, I support the hell out of it.
And one of the things that kind of dovetails nicely with Public Works and these flood-related projects is that a lot of the flood-related projects are Public Works, like most of them have to do with roads and bridges and things like that. So it seemed to make sense to put it in that category, and then we think going forward, that'll be a position that can provide more planning and just oversight. I mean, right now, our model for the Public Works is we have a road foreman.
A working road foreman.
Well, that's what I was gonna say, so our road foreman, we expect to be in the truck or be in the grader, and, is kind of running the crew. But as it turns out, when you spend all your time actually doing the physical work, it's hard to also at the same time be doing the planning and the grant writing and the, looking for bids for whatever, like equipment, like it's a lot. So it's time to add some more capacity.
And some of this would be sewer and water projects, once we get it off the ground.
And recreation.
Replacing aging water lines, the planning around that, working with engineers, designing that. There's a lot to it.
And as Danny just threw in there, recreation stuff as well. Parks and Rec, we're not big enough to need a Parks and Rec department, but
We have the ample
But we
amount
do
of
have-
Parks and Rec issues.
but we do have parks and we have recreation. And so, right now, we just look at the road crew whenever we need anything.
Some of this would take the strain off of the road crew with some of the smaller jobs.
That's the idea.
Yeah, it's gonna allow Tom to be the actual working foreman,
Yeah.
of the road crew, not the public works director.
Right.
They're vastly different these days.
So, that's my little spiel. Do you have specific questions?
No?
Okay.
The only one I had was on the grand list because people had been jumping me,
Yeah,
so I came here to,
great,
from the horse's mouth.
all right.
Depends on which end of the table you're looking at.
Yeah.
Because we've got 2 school meetings next week, and I know that's going to be.
That's gonna be fun.
Yes.
Yep.
Maybe that's why everybody's saving their energy.
I hope so.
They're not
Yeah.
They should be, honestly.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that
If we were behaving like the school board, I'd want the room full. It would be full.
Anybody else in the room have any questions or comments on budget or stuff that's gonna come up at town meeting?
Yeah, this hearing's actually on the whole warning, not on the budget, right?
Yeah, so, I
So if there
mean,
was an issue, this would be
Right.
the time for
This
the
is
townspeople
the
to bring it
time.
up.
It might be worth mentioning that I don't think we have to go through it, but that we spent a lot of time on the equipment
we review
scheduling.
the capital
We
equipment
should
schedule.
mention that at town meetings, that, make sure everyone understands that costs are just out of control. And even though Hardwick was we've been very fortunate that over the years, the select board has done a great job of setting money aside for capital expenses. What we're finding is that the amount that was set aside traditionally, and everybody should understand this, is nowhere near adequate for purchases in this day and age, so.
Right,
There's
I think
gonna
it's a fair thing to say that everybody who's had to buy a car in the last 5 years.
Right,
No,
understand.
it's-
Buy anything.
Or buy anything.
Anybody bought a dozen eggs today?
But
$10.
Yeah, $9.50.
But definitely cars, like,
And with the tariffs that are going on,
oh boy.
So let's keep it local.
Yeah, that's
that
good.
will affect you locally.
But it
It
is,
will.
it is.
Well,
going to
it'll
be
also
more
affect the local steel mills that are gonna have business again, so, in a positive, you gotta understand, something's gotta hurt.
Did you read, Mike Southworth's,
No, I didn't.
so one of the things he said in there was in the legislative update that, someone from the PUC came to the committee he was in, and they are wondering if there will be a tariff on electricity coming from Canada.
Yes,
I'm sure
I did hear that,
I'm
though.
sure there will be.
Yes.
We.
I heard there
Hardwick
was. I
get
didn't know there was
A fair
a-
amount of electricity from
A lot.
Quebec.
Right.
Oh, I would just soon not see it, but you also have to understand that there is some folks think that,
It's the way.
this is the way, that's right. Some don't.
I think
We'll
the
see.
tariffs will be decided tonight in the hockey game that starts at 8 o'clock.
I hope so.
US Canada game again.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, let's keep it local, because it's a
All right.
national train
That's
wreck.
what was awesome.
We don't need the national train wreck.
We do not.
I'm
So
just
we-
trying to move along the meeting. We
So-
have 5 minutes. I like to take a little recess before this.
So, yeah, I'd say what we're trying to do is position Hardwick to be in the best place that it can be financially and physically, going forward.
Yeah.
And trying to look ahead as much as we can. The capital equipment schedule, we pushed out the length of time we're holding the big trucks from 8 to 10
We've talked about,
years.
some other
Because
changes.
we talked about, we'll have to see how practical this is, but we'd like to look at the possibility of reusing a body. Or at least,
Or anything.
Make-
We
make it
gotta
really
look at,
dry.
we gotta look at something.
we're looking at the possibility. come look at the trucks?
Come look at our equipment now.
So you know what the plan B is? Not to replace the chassis either, to get an old body and an old truck, so.
I'm retiring in 4 more years.
But, I mean, that attitude, Charlie, no, wait a minute, let's get this under control here. That's the attitude that we need changed over there, is because you need to find, you guys, we, us, all of us,
Need to
need
work
to find a
together.
different way of doing business. So if you
Correct.
just wanna say, I'm gonna quit if I don't get a new truck, then you may as well quit.
No, it's not that, Danny.
That's what you
It's
just
not-
said.
No, he didn't,
No.
he said he's gonna retire.
No,
He's
I've
taking-
already made my statement, I'm retiring in 4 years. But if you want people to come and people to stay, good equipment,
Yeah.
I didn't say new, good equipment is key.
Right, and so, but what we need to do is we
Boy,
need
this
to
is gonna
figure out a
go,
way.
this is
I think
gonna
you're
go
totally
south
right.
really quick.
No, I think you're totally right, and I think that we need to work together to try to figure out, because the cost of those, especially the big trucks, all of them just went through the roof.
All
And
of
so
them.
what can we do?
Yeah.
Like, we think we could maybe keep them 2 more
I could
years.
see the dump body and maybe the plow frame, but you need a new wing.
So
new plow.
this is exactly what we need to get into. The next time we're doing a truck, we need to have this discussion.
You'll have to go apples to apples, but my truck is a Western Star. My equipment fits that truck,
Yep,
so.
right, we'll have to be careful with what we do to move stuff
So
from one
you
to
want
another.
to
Yeah,
put
that's,
Eastern Star on your Western.
See this? Because my point is, we should be, if we're having discussion, we should be having discussion on how we're gonna make something work and not how it won't work. That's not how you move forward. You never move forward having discussions about how things will not work.
but-
First.
But what we,
You don't talk about that first. You talk about how things need to work and how you can achieve that goal. Not automatically, you can't do it the first time you hear
but
the
I don't think
idea.
that's not what I heard him say. So I think we
Okay,
need to
you
work
and I will
together.
disagree in what we're hearing
Yeah.
him say.
Yes.
I do not hear any positive comments coming from,
I hear some constructive comments. I heard some things that
yeah,
he thinks
because you
could
can
move.
see your glasses are much more rainbow colored than my glasses.
Yeah.
So I
I've
guess
got the rainbow tint.
I don't understand what you're.
John, that's not quite,
I
you
think
gotta
just going
want,
forward.
we need to change. The point being is we need to change, not that we gotta get into the weeds about what fits what and any of that now. That's not the,
Right.
I understand all of that. I understand it's not easy. But if we don't start having these discussions, we're not gonna be able to afford to live in Hardwick.
Correct.
So if you don't wanna have the discussion on how we're gonna figure out how to not buy a new truck every 8 years, we are not gonna buy a new truck every 8 years. So we need to figure out how to make them last 10. We can't say they're not gonna last 10, because we can't buy one every 8 years, you guys. These things, you have to work towards making
Right.
change.
I think we get it. I think everybody knows the price went through the roof on these trucks. We
Alright.
need to try to extend their life, and when trading them, we need to do the best we can. I mean, the other thing that's killing us that maybe not everybody knows is that trading it, just the way the length of the lead time between when we order a truck, when it comes in, we send it out to get it all fitted up, takes so long that it's just not practical anymore to trade. We can't trade in a truck because then we're
Yeah,
down a truck.
you can't drop one off and pick one up anymore. You gotta, they want one and then it's 6 months before you get one. It's like.
Right, and so we're gonna be
Same way
behind
with
one.
buses.
Is that why we're, like.
Everything.
Barry's truck is getting replaced.
Yeah.
We're gonna keep his truck,
Yeah.
correct, as a
Yes.
spare.
Yeah,
That's gonna make a difference as well.
right there,
Of course it
yeah.
will. Yep,
Right.
absolutely.
Because if anything breaks down, we still have the equipment that we can use.
Right,
Right.
exactly. And then the other thing we talked about was, it may be Barry's truck, maybe that one's great, but maybe the next truck that gets
In line
rotated
might be
out
the real junker, you know what I
might
mean?
be a junker, and maybe you still keep.
It's gonna be very
maybe-
dependent on the point being, we're gonna need to be more proactive in our decision making. It's not gonna be as
Another-
easy as it has been in the past, where we had a
Another
schedule
fast forward.
and we were putting enough money away and everything was honky-dory, and we used to just write a check. When we all started, we just wrote checks for things.
So,
We need a new truck, you wrote a check, and they brought you one, and then that was the end of it. And it's not that way anymore with any equipment, no matter what it is.
I'm gonna say
This
it.
is another reason the Public Works Director, Supervisor of Public Works, capital planning for our projects, our equipment is you know,
Crunch-
is
crunching the
good,
numbers.
but this, we're gonna get into capital planning even more.
With
The
your
way it should
buildings
be.
as
Yeah.
well?
Hmm?
With your buildings
Yeah.
as well?
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
we
There's a
gotta pick
lot, we
one-
have a lot of things that we're just skipping over the
Right.
tops of,
We need one subject that we can actually do really well. What are we gonna pick?
right? We're gonna do it all real well.
Oh, I love his attitude.
Yeah.
There we go.
And there's gonna be things, I think,
Hmm.
in the next 10 years that we're gonna have to really look at and say, do we need this or not? And make some, you know, we can't always have what we want, and what are the things that we can do without? That's a question I ask people all the time, when that say, well, taxes are too high, the cost of living is too high. Well, what are you willing to do without? So we need to think about that.
I agree 100%. If, you know, every person that has a negative discussion with me about any department, whether it's the highway department or the police department, that's the first thing I ask them. So you're good with not having a police department?
Yeah.
Well, no, we need a police department. Well, you need to pay for a police department.
Right.
I can't argue with you about that. That's the way it is. If we're gonna have a police department, we need to fund it in a manner which is safe for the officers and safe for us, right? So
Yeah.
we gotta do what we gotta do.
And I have full faith in the town of Hardwick, the people of the town of Hardwick, that we will flourish.
There we go. So it being now 6:04.
Thank you for your time and your answers, and
Yeah.
I'll see you in 2 weeks.
Beautiful.
You're welcome to stay, or
Thank you,
No,
Horace.
I'm going home, I've been gone since 10 o'clock. in the
Okay.
morning.
Looking forward to hanging out with you.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, so,
Oh, my
I'm
goodness.
gonna adjourn the informational meeting unless somebody's got. All right, we're adjourned from the informational meeting.
Take a
That
cookie.
one is done. We're gonna move into, I'm gonna wait for you to get that meeting going.
Zoom it up.
Yeah.
Hey, Opie, had a little bit to drink tonight or what?
Me?
Yeah.
No.
You awfully happy?
Yeah. This is me.
So,
Positive,
are
baby.
you,
I like it.
you want me to wait for you to record?
It's doing wonders for my
Oh,
attitude.
as
long
It's
as
brought me
they're
around.
ready.
See that?
Okay,
Positive.
great. Okay, so, all right, so now we just finished our special town meeting update, and now it's about 6:05. It's still Thursday, February 20th, and we call to order the regular select board meeting. First thing is set adjust agenda. Does anybody want to remove anything from the agenda?
Approve the agenda.
All right, I said remove anything.
No, approve.
Oh, yeah, just, yeah, that's okay. We're not going to make any changes.
I'll second
Oh,
that.
Oh, you second that? All right, all in favor of approving the
I
agenda?
mean, I would have
Please
if
say
you'd
aye.
give me a hint of what you didn't want to talk about.
Okay.
I just soon remove one, so you shouldn't give me too many chances.
All right. All right, we're gonna roll with the agenda we have. Next, communication from the audience. Anybody here to discuss anything that we're not gonna talk about in part of our agenda? All right. Next, select board is to, we need to approve the minutes from the last regular meeting, which was February 6th, and the minutes of the special meeting, which was February 14th. Do we have a motion to approve those?
So moved.
Second.
Thought they looked good. Anybody have any?
Are we doing both of them?
I was going to.
Yes.
Yeah.
I move that we do both. Yep.
All in favor of approving the minutes, both sets of minutes as written, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Excuse me.
Any abstentions? Motion carries. Next town manager report, Mr. Upson, what you got for us?
Okay, so somebody from the USDA picked up the phone. I kept calling. It's an empty room there. Somebody finally picked up the phone. So we got some steps that we need to move forward with the pedestrian bridge project. They're good with the 2 bids. So I reached out to SE Group and the engineers that provided the plans for the project. They need to go over the bids, and they need to authorize or stamp of approval on the bids that they cover everything in their design. We have a couple other low shopkeeping items to do to send back to USDA. The big one is we're still about $150,000 short in the budget for the bridge. So That is with the $200,000 grant that we just applied for. We're assuming we're gonna get that money.
So does that mean we're actually $350,000 short?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
With construction contingency. So,
Oh,
more to, that's with a 5% construction contingency.
that's pretty skinny.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So we're gonna be trying to figure out that situation
Closing
moving
that
forward.
gap.
Yeah,
Okay.
closing that gap. I did hear back from V-Trans about the Creamery Road,
Oh, yeah.
right of way.
Mhm.
And they're willing to accept the road as it currently sits in part of their lease area at no cost to us.
That's very big of them.
I know,
Yeah.
yeah. So we can continue forward with.
And also no deduction in our fee. What a deal, boys.
Well, no, we do have a reduced cost on the area where people
Yeah.
park for the rail trail.
Alright.
So they're willing to work with us,
That's good.
Yeah.
That was.
but I still would
So they
caution.
first were like, what, your road can't cross our
Right.
road? Yeah.
So-
Yeah.
I'm like, but it does and has done.
Yeah, it's gonna continue.
For years.
Right. So that's good. We got 2 Bridge 31 proposals. So Bridge 31 is up in Greensboro Bend.
Yeah.
We got 2 of those. They're not really an apples to apples comparison. It closed yesterday, so I've gotta reach out with some follow-up questions. 2 good engineering firms put in proposals.
That's what it was only for engineering.
Correct,
Yeah.
correct. But all of this stuff is really just for engineering. We're just getting to this. The first project that is gonna probably be ready for construction is the Hardwick Farms Bridge. The Hardwick Farms crossing up here in Porter Brook. Our Text My Gov is live now,
Great.
so we've sent out the invite list. We've migrated over the emergency notification list, so if you pull up a map of who's opted in of Hardwick, there's a lot of red dots, so that's good. And we've gotten some positive feedback on that. I want to recognize the work that Neighbor to Neighbor has done for the emergency response plan, the addendum to the emergency response plan. That's a big project, and there's a lot of people doing good work, and they've created, the communications committee has created a pamphlet, like a 1-page pamphlet for residents, which I think is exciting. More to come on that when we adopt our local emergency management plan in May. That's all I have. I had a brief meeting with Rural Edge today about the housing partnership properties, and they're working hard to try to get things kind of back in order from the other management company. I'm hopeful that they're doing a good job, and things are going to change for the good for the residents of the housing partnerships properties. All right.
Are the apartments above the quip joint? Are people back in them yet?
May, hopefully by May.
That's not their decision.
Yeah.
No.
Repeater grant?
We didn't get it.
Didn't.
Nope. I've requested a list of people, a list of folks or agencies that received the grant, and the reasoning, we haven't gotten an email yet, but I did speak with Homeland Security, and they said that the reason why we didn't get it is because there was such a short turnaround on the funds. They needed to be spent by September, that they didn't think, because there was a environmental and historical review requirement for the building, for the project, they didn't think we could get it done in time. Yep.
BS.
Yep. So I'm gonna put in, I've asked for the list. They said I had to do a public records request, so I'm gonna put it in a public records request for the list of what projects. So this was decided on by our state DPS leadership. And they know that we needed this. They knew it was a good project, but they said that we probably couldn't spend the funds within the
That's
timeframe.
total BS. So, we're moved ahead with order and everything's still right?
Yep.
Yeah, good, okay. Glad we did that.
Yep.
Thank you. Yeah, that's disappointing.
That's
That's
very
It is.
disappointing, because I know that they know.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, everybody in law, it's been a problem for
I mean, we went to a
15
lot
years,
of
so
these
everybody knows it's a problem.
listening sessions and, yeah.
All right,
Sorry,
we tried, you
Yep.
tried hard on you guys, so.
twice.
Just a quick question about the USDA. Did you by any chance talk to them about, so for those funds, they've been committed for a long time.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering about, if for some reason there might be a funding freeze or something like that, we basically we would not get those USDA funds, or we're not sure yet. how that would work.
Community facilities, I heard in another meeting with USDA there, that community facilities is still going strong. They're taking,
It's not one of the,
Right.
it's not on the ball.
yeah,
Well, I kind of assume that since those funds have already been committed, that
those are
maybe
committed,
there's-
but they've been
there's-
extended
Right.
several times.
Right.
And we need to close that
Right.
budget gap, or
Right.
we lose,
We're gonna lose
A
that.
lot of
Right,
money.
yeah,
right,
Yeah,
okay.
even if we need to close it ourselves, we need to close it.
yeah.
I just don't want to be in a situation where we do it and then it's not that much.
No, those, the obligated funds are obligated.
Yeah, okay, great,
But they won't be forever if we don't
Yeah.
get our
No,
yeah.
stuff together.
correct.
Okay, any other questions for our people? All right, moving on, road foreman report.
You want to give it? I'll give it. So these guys have been working hard. I hear Pearlie go by my house about 3 a.m. And I think they kicked butt in this last storm.
Yeah.
They've done a lot of snow clearing in the village. They pushed back banks,
Yeah.
kept up with the wind and the cold temperatures. Everything is running good.
What?
Yeah,
No.
yeah. Everything is running good. And
This is like the
There's no
second,
snow, so we're doing maintenance.
yep, yep.
there's no snow, there's a lot of snow.
Well, we got snow, but it was all
Yeah.
10 days.
I think
So-
I saw the grader go by yesterday pushing
Yep,
banks.
grader's been out.
Every day.
So
Yep.
I have, they've been busy and they've been kicking butt. And I appreciate our road crew every day, every hour that I see them.
Yeah, our roads have been really good and, well, I sent you a text that
Yeah,
Saturday I went through downtown.
I shared it
after
with-
a store.
I shared it with
storm.
Tom.
Everything was neat and clean and
yeah.
it was really nice for the weekend.
We do have a little bit of an issue down on Main Street with a catch basin. It's an oddity. I think there's some like voodoo going on with some water in a catch basin, but we're keeping an eye on it. I think the sewer department is going to pump it out tomorrow and see where the water's coming from, but it's not causing any problems. We've been monitoring it.
What street was that?
South Main Street. Yeah. In front of the flower basket.
Did it thaw out or?
It hasn't froze.
Unknown.
Yeah. No, the outfall hasn't hasn't thawed out yet, no. So there's that, and then we did, I think, I'm not sure if we purchased it yet, but we bought a new snow blower for the tool gap.
Yes, it's been purchased.
Yeah,
Is it here or just
Purchased
purchased?
tomorrow on Monday.
yeah.
Nice.
That thing has reached its useful life.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a hard, that's.
Yeah.
Yeah, it takes a hard-
Whole sidewalk thing is hard on the equipment.
Yeah. So we got a new snow blower.
Great. Excellent.
Yep.
Yeah, definitely appreciate all the snow removal. Oh, and also like I went up Center Road this weekend. I was impressed that it was passable because it was so windy.
Yeah, they closed Max Gray Road the other day in Callis because they couldn't. I saw Callis running their trucks up the road with chains on all 3 axles. Doubles on the back, singles on the front, steer tires.
Oh,
We did have I
I'm
think it was a
like-
Lincoln Navigator that got stuck on Center Road in a snowdrift. Had to get yanked out
wow.
in the roadway.
Yeah.
She made it back out of it, Tom went up, and she managed to get back out of it, so he opened up and she continued to run.
Oh,
Yeah,
Was Tom up there then?
It was blowing and drifting.
oh, because I thought
for a while.
that this is one that they had to have towed out.
He didn't find one that needed to be towed.
Okay, I know Robin had gone up
From
for it.
Massachusetts.
I don't know.
No.
Never.
She had all-season tires on, but he
Yeah.
said that she was stuck, but she made it back out of the way. So he made it around here and.
Boy, that was drifting in fast
It was
though.
drifting in, yeah.
Oh,
apparently.
man. I think you probably could have been running up and down that road nonstop and it still
Yeah.
would have been drifting in. All right, I'm gonna move us along. Police department report, Mike Henry.
I Everything's running pretty good right now, so we're
Great.
good.
All right. And we already covered the communications.
Covered the communications.
Yep.
I like
Okay.
that.
I was gonna vent on that, but
No,
we're good.
save it.
All right.
Hope you talked me off the ledge with that.
That's a great
I'm
report.
sure
Yeah.
you guys know the inner workings of
I'm not
insurance
done.
act.
Yeah.
It's
With that one.
Right.
Good work, guys.
Yeah. Thank you for the short report.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
We have on our agenda electric department report. Sarah Brace unfortunately has had the death in the family and is not able to be here. So,
Keeping her in our thoughts.
yes.
Does she live local?
Yeah.
Yeah, Danville, right?
It's
Yeah.
a CFO that's, or something that's not local, right? Is it somebody, did we talk about that? last
Oh,
time?
yeah, there, Beth
Beth.
Essery is not local, but she's up here, I think, 1 week a month.
And she's, what? the-
She's the finance,
Director,
Director.
manager, finance
I don't
manager.
know the title, but she's the finance person.
Yeah.
She seems,
Well, that's good, because I got him backwards, and I was like, well, I can't be the general manager.
No.
And then I saw the introduction on Front Porch Forum, and I'm like, boy, it sounds like she's
no, she's
local.
local. Yeah, and she came to Hardwick Electric from VIPSA, actually. Yep.
It was a good steal.
Yeah. It's fair and square still, yeah. All right, moving on, item 1, select board to discuss and consider approving Hardwick Fire Department to purchase a used tower truck. It's a year 2000 Seagrave Apollo 105 tower to replace the current ladder truck. And we talked about this last time Burley came, and last time you reported that you were gonna go up and check it out.
I did, I went up, checked it thoroughly. It was a very good truck. I've been looking online to see what trucks are going for, and if there's anything any good, the cities are buying them right now.
Hmm.
Because the wait list for a new one is 5 to 6 years now, and the price has doubled. So they're trying to buy used stuff to put in their line to help offset the new. And I found this one, I talked with them, checked it out, they will give it to us for $165 delivered and train us thoroughly on it.
Oh, great.
And the ladder and the pump are certified?
And the tank, air tanks on it are certified,
Yeah.
and all that paperwork comes with it.
Transfer, the certification transfers with the
Yes.
truck.
Yeah.
And this is, I don't remember what we had in our
I have it right here.
budget, what did we have in our capital
So
budget?
currently the fire equipment,
Oh, no, but we had
capital.
we
so the
were-
budget for 2030, which is when we have this next,
Yeah, we were
is
expecting.
$600,000.
For that truck.
We currently have in fire capital $235,000.
Yeah,
So,
so we have the money and it's a lot less than we were planning to spend on replacing this truck in a few years.
Yes, because like as Danny's been talking, I want to try and set things up better
Yeah.
for our future.
Yeah, great.
so I can make a motion that we,
Yeah, you go ahead.
that we purchase the used tower truck, 2000, do I need to read all this? The 2000 Seagrave Apollo 105 tower. It's quite a name. For $165,000.
I'll second it.
Any more discussion?
The question of the old truck, what do we do with that thing?
Yeah. How do we find a home for
What's
it?
it got for an engine? Tell me it's a C12
I'm not
Caterpillar.
positive.
Is that what you're looking for?
I'm not positive what it is, but I'd have to check it out and make sure.
But I know because of the pump issue, it's not.
Just the
No.
transfer case. It's just the transfer case and the
It's
transmission.
like
Right.
It's the pump.
But it was expensive though.
Transmission, yeah.
50 grand.
Right, that's what I'm saying. So the likelihood, I mean, if it had a lot of value, we'd have fixed it, right?
Right, the
Yeah,
truck.
We're
The
starting
truck.
to show rust on it. and-
Right, that's what I'm saying. So
Yeah.
we're gonna get rid of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, just put it out for bid and
Right.
probably try and get what we can get.
So
He can sell
that's kind of my point, is it's an absolute bid gone somebody else's dooryard.
Yes.
Just so it
I'd
doesn't take
want-
up a day anymore.
Right, we don't need it if, we get what we can get.
It's
cut it
completely
down.
drained now, so there's no water whatsoever into it.
Yeah. No, my point here is that we
Yeah.
get rid of it.
Yeah.
So.
We don't keep it around for any
Yeah.
reason, shape, or form for anything, because it'll just end up costing us more money down the road.
And more discussion on the motion to buy this truck?
Can we add and disperse of the old one right in there?
Well, we would just sell it to the highest bidder.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, we'd just auction
Make
it
sure
off.
that happens, let's
Yeah.
do it. I'm in.
Okay, so all in favor, buying the tower truck, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Carry on. Thank you, Pearlie, for checking that out and bringing
Yep,
that to us.
good job.
Because sounds like it'll be a good truck for us, fits the
Yes.
need, and,
Low miles,
Yeah.
low hours, low pump use, low.
They bought it new.
What's that?
They bought it new?
They bought it off new, there was
It's
a
used.
place in New York that they got it. It was, I can't remember the name of it, but it's not very far from Queens, New York. And they didn't use it a whole lot, but it was due for their replacement.
Yep.
So they went down and bought it. And they're finding it was too big for their application, so they want to downsize a little.
Yep,
Where this is what we need for our future.
yep,
yeah,
good work.
perfect.
We'll be able to get even higher for the duck drop.
Here you go.
Oh, there we go. That's what we needed. All right. Well, thank you, and thanks, Burley.
Thank you.
So I'm
That's why I
moving
said
on,
it.
we're moving on to item 2, select board to review and discuss building resilient infrastructure and communities grant, the BRIC grant. And we have some-
Big project.
It's a big project, so this is, I think, Kristen's here, I'm assuming Kristen's been working on this.
Mhm.
So-
I want to introduce, I've given Kristen a new title.
Oh, okay, carry
Yeah.
on.
She's our Chief Recovery Officer.
Ooh, I like it.
Yeah,
Let's hope that it's a temporary title.
yes, yes.
And that we're not forever
She'll-
in recovery.
She'll go back to her lowly zoning administrator title.
So this essentially is looking to fund a study on what to do from Mill Street. No, you don't have to. Do what you want. Mill Street to
Cottage Street.
Cottage Street Bridge.
It's not just a study though, it would be 100% engineering.
100% engineering. So we're gonna get, like, this is what needs to happen.
Shovel ready, baby.
Shovel ready,
So we could go to bid with it.
yes.
Great.
Does it include the Cottage Street Bridge?
It goes to the Cottage Street Bridge.
Oh.
It does not include Cottage Street Bridge.
Too bad.
That's
We're
good,
already
that's a
looking at
solid bridge.
Probably $10 million.
I don't
Cottage Street
think
Bridge is
so,
fine.
yeah.
Yeah.
The riverbank between Mill Street. and
Our state
Cottage Street
engineer,
Bridge is
for,
fine.
our state engineer says that bridge is solid, is a solid structure.
So I
It's
think.
just too narrow.
I think earlier in our pre-town meeting, when ORISE mentioned, some communities like Plainfield, I was getting Plainfield, Marshall confused. Plainfield, right? They got it flooded.
Mhm. Plainfield.
Yeah, so, some communities lost a lot of their downtown in a flood. And and the point of looking at this particular downtown section of River is that we have a concern about
Yeah.
losing our downtown.
Well, we're losing pieces already.
We are, but we're concerned about losing it all as
Right,
we go.
correct. We're losing
No.
pieces.
I'm not concerned about losing
Concerned about it
in
jumping
one big go.
up by Hayes and coming down Mill Street, because I think that was
That's what the river scientist is concerned with,
but it does keep, even
I
if it doesn't.
understand that,
It's,
but.
we've lost a lot
So
of
let's,
small
let's
pieces.
take our $57,000 and go fix that little spot up there, so it doesn't do that.
You don't wanna look at the rest
And
of
be
the.
done with it. I wanna look at the whole world and make it peaceful and happy, but
Yeah.
I don't have the money to do that,
Okay,
so.
I don't wanna be penny wise and pound foolish. I don't wanna spend that and throw it at the.
So if we go through this and then get a shovel-ready engineer, and where are we gonna get the $10 million to do the project?
hazard
And s-
mitigation grant.
Just stop arguing.
Well, I mean,
Well, that's the answer. Like, that's where we would get them. That's the next step.
This should have been done after 2015, Dan. Like this planning should have been done back then, knowing that there's issues along that entire corridor and that it's a major transportation, commercial, et cetera.
so you're saying you don't wanna do it?
Absolutely. I wanna know where the match is coming from.
Yep.
Okay, thank
Well,
you.
this could be the EWP could be null and void, what we talked about last week. This stuff right now, the hazard mitigation stuff, this is like this is like the stock market in the state right now. Everything's a moving target right now, and people are jockeying for where we need to put the
And
money.
we just need to keep saying, obligating to spend money that we don't have to be part of this game.
We are trying to leverage what we have for money to be able to put it towards projects that we can get funding for. So if we can put in 25% and get 100% of a project that we can't pay for out of pocket, that's the
Right.
game. That's
So what
that's
percent
where
do we
are.
have, what percent do we have in the bridge project already, currently?
Which bridge?
Less
The
than
pedestrian bridge.
we have about 25%.
And we're lacking 350 grand. For that project.
We're
we've been
relying
around
on
for 10
another
years.
grant.
So now we're gonna obligate to more grant match. You guys, I look at things differently. I understand that I don't have the money to pay any higher taxes. And I understand that even if we do all this work, we don't have the 10 million, and in 5 years from when we do this study and get all these cost estimates, and the project, by then we're gonna have 2 more floods, and everything will have to be re-engineered again, and everything will have to be rebid again, and we're going to spend the same money over again. You can't plan for something and do it a decade later and have it amount to anything. You piss the money away. We did it with the rail trail. We engineered the Lamoille Valley Rail Trail twice, the state of Vermont, taxpayers of the state of Vermont engineered it twice for millions of dollars in the course of that project before it was completed. And in the end, they didn't follow the engineering. And in the beginning, it was an engineered railroad already. Everything, it didn't even need any engineering. So if we knew we were going to, had a construction idea of how we were going to do the project, I'm totally for planning. But to spend money that we don't have on planning, that we don't know where we're going to get the funding for the project, to me, it's got to stop. We can't keep doing that.
So, okay, so let's just take the one piece at a time. So, I think it's not exactly analogous to the rail trail or railroad, because it's not a previously engineered thing. I think that, like, you're asking good questions, like, if we spend this money, how do we pay for the next step? Because if we get the plans, we want to move forward with construction. So Kristen answered that question.
And actually, I can further elaborate on that. Typically, the money gets opened when you have a flood, okay, or an emergency. So we should have had projects ready to go for 2023, but we didn't. We were invited to do 2 projects already. We used River, we used the no cost to us approach. But both of those projects are about $30,000 to get to that 30% engineering. This is a totally different animal, which is what I said in the paperwork that I put together for you. This is a much larger project, many more pieces. The idea, though, Danny, is that if there is another flood, which hopefully there isn't, but if there is, that opens another round of hazard mitigation grant funding. And this is coming in before the 2024 flood money has come in for hazard mitigation. They picked us because they feel that we are the town that can go forward, have all this information, and go to that next step. They don't think we're going to sit on plans for 10 years.
So I think thank you, Kristen. I think your original question, Danny, was where is that coming from? So why don't we answer where the match is coming from?
Okay.
So we have that 75,000 budget adjustment that was given to us by the state. So state dollars was given to us for the budget adjustment, 75,000. That's in our current year spending.
And we haven't already committed that to other things.
Not for other things.
Yeah, we haven't spent it
No,
on
but we
anything
haven't
else.
we've talked about it a lot, but we
haven't committed it on
actually
anything.
So
committed it.
we're
We
going to go
haven't.
back to the other things that we kind of said we were going to commit it to and say we're not going to do them, right?
So EWP is kind of up in the air right now, and that was what, 80,000? And so this you know, we don't know if that program's gonna exist.
I understand what you guys are
Yeah,
saying.
I get
But if
your
everything comes
concern.
to fruition, we don't have the money.
Right.
Yeah.
So
I go back to
I'm
your-
not, I don't roll that way.
Yeah.
I don't roll that way.
Mhm.
I don't, just because I got checks in the checkbook, don't mean I'm gonna write a check hoping that somebody don't cash it.
I go back to your original thought of what can we live without though, Danny, and I'm concerned about our Main Street. I am concerned with that.
Really?
I mean,
You're that concerned that Main Street's gonna wash away?
if we have another flood like we did, I'm not, I don't think all of.
Do you know how many times in my life I've seen the water at the top of Rush Street?
How many, no.
Do you think it was just two?
I
You
don't
think
know
the
how
last
many
2
times.
years been floods?
I mean, from what
I
I've
mean,
heard
we
a lot
live
of
in,
people say the last
it's
few
Memorial
years.
River, and we live, our village is next to the river.
Right.
We're not gonna resolve this issue. This isn't gonna change anything about the flooding. It's still gonna flood.
But this is necessary in order to get that, you know, emergency mitigation.
So,
grant.
Danny, the
But even
state,
that-
the state of Vermont received about 100 requests for this funding.
I understand.
But listen to me, listen,
No,
please, let
I'm
me
not.
finish.
I'm not. I'm the selectman.
Yeah,
And I understand what you're saying, Kristen. And I'm glad that they think that we're the right candidates.
no, we're the right candidates because it's the worst case scenario. That's the other part of it. They were trying to, they've seen the pictures, they've come down and viewed the section. They're worried about it, Danny.
I mean, I think we can also look at the river corridor as it exists now, or just before these recent floods, and see that people before us have done this, gone through the same motions, right? Like, I'm pretty sure that when people settled Hardwick, there weren't granite blocks lining the river right through downtown. So people have definitely worked to stabilize that bank before us. And a lot of those, maybe not a lot, I don't know, some
Some
portion
failed.
of them washed away. in the
Yeah,
last 2
I
years.
understand that. I see that, but it's,
So, I guess I'm wondering what's an alternate scenario? I mean, I can see we could do nothing and see what happens. We could, I'm not sure what our other options are.
I mean, I think that is our only option.
Or to Danny's point, to take that money and put it into reinforcing the bank. What is that? Again,
well, I mean, that's,
More than enough.
that's
right, I know.
not even enough money to do that properly, probably.
So the time frame here, which was one of your questions, Danny, says 3 to 5 years. That's 3 to 5 years of just, that's completion, Kristen, for the hazard mitigation program? Okay, so that's pretty quick. Right?
Yeah, it's
So,
pretty quick.
I'm just saying it's pretty quick. So I think, I totally hear you. I think we're also,
What's 25% of 10 million?
at the beginning of the meeting, we were talking about the pedestrian bridge and that.
So it's gonna be free, Kristen, is that what you're telling me?
The last funding round, if we'd been ready, it would have been 100% match. That's why I tried to get us into it. It was 100% match. If we had been ready, like Lamoille County, we would have gotten 100% for each project.
So we don't know what it's gonna be.
We don't know what it's going to be.
But if we don't have the plans, we know that we're not eligible.
Correct.
So
Those are the facts.
those are the facts. Do people want to discuss more?
We're gonna,
Yeah, I mean, I think,
so we're basing this on the actuality of another flood. Because that's how we're gonna get the funding to do the
Well,
project.
they still haven't released 2024. They released 2023, they have not released 2023.
Right.
So if there's a.
So what you're telling me is we're gonna pay for this project, the construction of this project with grant money that's gonna be released after the next flood.
No, they still haven't released 2024.
So if we do
If we
this-
did this now, we have a chance to be in that 2024 pot.
round.
I don't know if it's 100%. I don't know what the match is.
Another, this isn't, this isn't gonna help you, because I see where you're at, and I understand where you're at, and I get it. This isn't just us looking out there and saying, what can we do? This is the state, the planners of this, at the state level, Vermont Emergency Management, people looking at, there was over 100 projects, and we were chosen to apply for this. So
It's all great.
Yeah, I
But
know.
this is me looking.
I get
At
it.
not being able to pay my taxes.
So
I
think-
totally get it.
So
Can I
that,
add
you
on
know
to
what?
it?
I see where you're coming from. I do.
It's not, no one here sees, there's no care in the world about.
That's
me
not
being
true.
able to afford my
That's
taxes.
not true. That's not
No,
true.
it is
I don't
true.
think
We
that's
all
fair.
care about your taxes.
Yes, it's
So-
not, I'm not me, I mean me, my people that can't afford to pay their taxes, like me.
I care about
So-
every last
I'm not the
person
only
in
one.
this town.
I think if we can pay for this through that $75,000,
Yeah.
then we're not tapping into the general fund, which we've already committed a lot of funds to.
mean
The
the
past,
fund balance?
the fund balance. Last meeting, we committed a lot to that. We're gonna have to pay for the work done at the police department, so that's gonna come out of the fund balance. So if we're doing this for the receiver,
Oh, yeah. yeah.
so if we're really paying for this out of that $75,000, then I'm for it. I'm super nervous about committing any more funds from the fund balance.
Yeah.
Because at every meeting it gets lower and lower. So if that's, to me, that's where that, and it makes sense. It's like a perfect project for that money anyway. So that's what I would propose.
Is there more discussion?
I think we actually have to allocate then that 75,000
Yeah.
and not talk about 4 or 5 different things.
Yes.
We would say, hey,
Stop talking
this is
about it.
actually where it's
Yeah.
going, and put that aside. and-
Yeah.
Just to clarify, because I had
57.5 of it.
Yeah.
I had the same question. We didn't the only thing that was obligated out of the fund balance was the money for the repeater. The EWP projects, you guys said that to keep moving forward with them,
Mhm.
but we didn't,
Yeah, right.
right? So,
We didn't, there's nothing that we obligated with that.
right,
Yeah,
So did we not apply for that grant then?
we did.
we put an application in for it
Well,
to
it's-
keep moving forward, but
But an
we-
application is still saying that we are
Which
gonna provide that
I
much.
view as a commitment,
Yeah.
once
Okay.
you submit the application.
I think if we're applying for money and we're saying
We're submitting applications with the town signature on it, we're
Mhm.
obligated to follow. That's my
But
view.
there was no amount. Those were just construction figures, so that could be lower. Just,
And we can make that decision when the time.
and
comes.
we're not committed to doing that work.
So just to go back to what you said, OP, there actually hasn't been any funds from that $75,000 committed yet.
Correct.
Okay, okay, great. So do you want me to add that into the motion so it's like super clear? Do we
No,
need to?
because money is fungible.
Money is
demo.
fungible, okay. So I can make the motion to apply for the Building Resilient Infrastructure and Communities Grant for downtown Hardwick.
Second.
More discussion. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No,
Thank you. Motion carries. Next is item 3, select board to review and discuss additional floodplain acquisition on the Moyle River. And I don't think there was anything in our packet on this.
This was a late to the game agenda item, and it involves another buyout property on South Main Street, the Gazette building.
So.
I don't think it's a lighthearted decision.
Yeah.
We checked with Vermont Emergency Management and FEMA, and we can still get in on, because of our relationship that we've made with the state, we can still get in on 100% funding for the buyout, if we so choose. But that window is closing.
And then, but then we still have to do something. That's just the buyout, not the.
Buyout, demo,
Oh, demo,
return it to
everything.
green space, that's everything included in, just like all the buyouts we have.
The end of the historic building.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I imagine it's Fibros, so these guys are here. Do you want to see what they want to talk about?
You want to hear some stuff about it?
Yes, please.
Okay, so I came here like 2.5 years ago to ask for ARPA funding for our organization, and we had this deal with Ray that we could cover the carrying cost of the building in order to be in there. The mission of the organization is to get people together. It's not to save historic buildings. And so at the point at which he offered to donate the building to us because he recognized that there were some costs coming with it that he didn't want to deal with, somebody did say to me, there's no such thing as a free building. And I said, I see what I'm signing up for and I see what's coming. And I knew it was going to come for me eventually. But it was really the best bet for our organization to even exist. We needed that headquarters. So we took it knowing, and we took it with like an immediate and kind of intensive relationship with Preservation Trust because that seemed like our best bet for saving it. And we have built that relation very steadily with them. And to that end, a couple months ago, our field rep recommended us to the Freeman Foundation for funding. They awarded us $100,000 towards the 3 most pressing and urgent projects, which to the level of just pure safety are the foundation, though insurance is not aware of that as being a priority. We are aware of that from the last 2 floods, but insurance is most concerned with the roof and the exterior painting. We've gotten some estimates for all of these projects. We've gotten paid for and gotten the engineer drawings for the foundation. We're like, taking all the proactive steps to just move this thing forward. But I felt that as an organization whose mission is not to save historic buildings, we ought to pause before we dive headfirst into this and kind of reflect as an organization if this is what we want to do, because we know we're probably signing up for several years and hundreds of thousands of dollars of work. And I also want to ask the community if they want us to do that work on a building that is in the floodway. It's not just that it's a very old building on the river, it's that it's a building that's in the floodway. It also is the oldest building on Main Street. I have a lot of pride in that building and a lot of love for it. I do not want to be the one responsible for it being taken down. I have no desire to be in that position. I also don't want to be in the position of spending the next 3 years of my working life heavily focused on the preservation and repair of it. So I'm a little conflicted about what the right thing to do is in terms of for the town, my responsibility towards the community. So right now I'm spending a lot of time talking to a lot of people about what they would like to see done and how they would like us to proceed, both just as a structure in town and as an organization. We are kind of pursuing everything all at once because of what feels to me like a somewhat urgent timeline. So much of the land behind the building washed out. It's been made clear to us by river engineers and various structural experts that we need to move really quickly on the foundation work so it doesn't worsen and become an even larger project. Insurance has made it really clear that they're running out of patience with us about the painting and the roof. So we're kind of pushing that boulder along steadily. That Freeman Foundation money is a reimbursement grant. We don't have that money, but it's promised to us and that's meaningful. But at the same time, I feel like I have to pursue the other options, not knowing what's going to happen. And so I'm simultaneously looking at other places where we might move, considering the buyout, considering putting the property on the market, and continuing to look at the foundation repair as the first project. So I'm coming to you now sort of faster than I wanted to because of this particular buyout program and knowing that it's going to mean that the town will be saved money if we're accepted into it. If this is in fact what we end up having to do, which is not definitive yet, but certainly could be the end result of all this decision-making process.
What's the feedback you've gotten from other community members?
The feedback seems to be across the board. I would be really sad to see that building go, and I totally understand why it would need to go. And that is from, folks who are historic preservation people who do that for a living, and also people who grew up here and have meaningful relationships, personal relationships with that space. And also I've heard, people say, I've never felt safe going into that building. and it would be nice if I could come to community supper if it was somewhere else. That one meant a lot to me. A kid who spends a lot of time in our building told me that she has a recurring nightmare that we're all in the Civic together and it falls into the river, which, honest to God, to me is like the most compelling thing that I've heard so far. Is just having the 10-year-old who spends all her time there telling me that she's got a nightmare about it.
It's not the ideal spot for your mission, really, at
It's
all.
not.
That was always a concern of mine, is
Yep.
your entire mission is warrants a different space.
It's always bugged the heck out of me that it's not accessible, just on a basic
No
level.
parking.
And knowing that these 3 giant projects would be done and we would have exactly the same space, we would still not have an accessible building, not have a commercial kitchen, still have this door that spills right onto Main Street. All the safety concerns that I would like us to get to are gonna be beyond these 3 major projects, which are just gonna get us to the basic level of safety and continuation. So those are compelling arguments for me that it's hard to turn away from. And yet, you know, to me, it's like a really iconic piece of the view of town, the look of Main Street. Yeah.
Mhm.
So another big element of that is that it's in the floodway. So even if you invested all this time and money in, and Freeman Foundation funds in doing these 3 big things and made insurance companies happy, going forward, you wouldn't be eligible for a lot of the grants that you would want to try to supplement your, you know.
Yeah, it's not even the end
You
of the
can't,
list
you
of
wouldn't be able
projects.
to, you wouldn't be able to restore the building because you'd never be able to get enough money.
I know. And I would have to
It's
lean
never
really
gonna-
heavily on something like Preservation Trust that has a workaround for something like a floodway, but they have limited.
But they're them, they're
options.
just them.
Exactly.
They
They can only sort
yeah.
of guide you
They're
to
not
grants.
making money there, they're not printing
Exactly.
money at Preservation Trust.
Exactly.
And they only have certain resources. So, I mean, knowing how long, you know, I've been involved with the townhouse for 20 years, and it's taken us this long to get to where we are, and we are on dry ground,
Yeah.
and we still have plenty to do. And
Plenty of
we're
hoops.
eligible to write grants.
Numerous
And-
hoops for you over there, just.
What's that?
I said the hoops you have to jump through over there, just imagine if you're down there on the river.
I just, as much as it's, you know, we've lost other historic buildings on Main Street, and it's sad. They're in our, you know, we have pictures, and that's just the way it is. I don't think there's a way to not do this. I think this is an opportunity to get out of the hole. Yeah. It's sad.
Well, give
But
it,
ultimately, it's
True.
not our decision, though, right?
Only, I mean, if it is,
I mean, we need to
it's our
accept it,
decision
but
if,
we pretty much already
It's
said
sad.
that we would
It's a
support
sad
anybody that
thing.
wanted to do it, or at least I did.
if Rose comes to us and says, will you do the buyout, then it becomes our decision.
Right.
It's not like you can pick it up and.
Oh, it is?
She's here.
That's what she
I thought you were still conflicted
No,
after
what
all.
I'm
Personally
thinking is, I
conflicted.
would like to request the buyout because I want us to get into this program.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if I'm going to decide in 6 months, based on massive community uprising, that we gotta save it. We're all gonna pitch in.
But there's
We're all
no
gonna
way.
get down in the river and
There's
save
no way to
it.
save it.
I'm just
Nobody
saying,
is gonna
If I
give
pull out of
enough
the, if I
money
pull
for
it back
that.
out, like, you know, that's why I would pull it back out,
Yeah, I
right?
got-
But I wanna get the ball rolling
Yeah,
so
yeah.
we get in this program.
And I gotta believe that $100,000 is likely not to even cover the 3 things you mentioned.
Oh,
Certainly
no,
not.
hell
You
no.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
Alone is gonna be
The
so.
hope with the foundation would be that we could somehow join on with some of the equipment that was gonna be down in the river for the bridge and save a little bit of money that way, because there's so much, you know, they're gonna have to sandbag and do a whole
Yeah.
thing
Oh,
to
no,
That's a
make
huge
that.
force.
We were gonna try to cover our budget gap with their funds.
Yeah,
Oh, that's a
thanks.
good idea.
We have a strategy here.
Well, the flower baskets for sale.
Let's make a motion. Where's the flower basket nowadays?
It's for sale.
Oh, is it?
So,
Already?
So this would just put them into the application? This,
Yeah.
they can back out all the way up until the
Yeah.
day of closing?
They can put it on the market.
Yeah.
They can do it.
Well, Rose, it's a really tough position to be in. I don't envy that one.
I was surprised you took the building.
I wish you had to.
I don't get right up to the windowsill.
I said, I
stay
was,
back from
I
it.
was surprised, I knew it was gonna
I
be
like
a
the little
project.
bed.
Yeah. I mean,
But-
this was the sort of trade-off of like getting the thing off the ground, and it feels like it did allow us
It
to get off
did-
the
it
ground.
did
But
a
if we
fine
stay
job.
here,
Yeah,
I feel like we're gonna
Yeah.
sort of tank with it, like.
yeah, you don't
feels
need it,
like we're
it's gonna bring you
lose
down for sure.
Mission drift, and it's
I
all
don't
the
think-
dangers for our
Like
organization.
Sherry said, I don't think there's an out here, I don't think they're saving it. It's all, I've been one of those kids that's been going in there for 60 years, and I'd never thought it was, the floors creaked, and it was always kind of, you'd never see me at the back of that building, ever in my life. It's like,
Yeah, members of our board won't go beyond a certain point.
yeah, so it's been,
You're gonna make the motion?
I'll make the motion that we support acquisition of the property on the Lamoille River is how it's worded in here, but
Second?
I don't know who even owns it nowadays.
Additional.
The
one-
Civic actually
Civic owns
is the owner, so
Yeah, he did.
I support the Civic Standard in their endeavor to pursue the buyout through FEMA. Yep. Dress that up a little for me there, Amanda.
Will do.
And we had a second
For me.
from Kaylee. So, any more discussion?
And so that buyout would be covered, that would be FEMA entirely covered, that would cover removal, and we would just basically extend the Peace Park.
It would be green space.
We have to
But
get,
first, we're gonna have.
It's gonna be a tricky space
Yeah.
to do anything with, but.
Let's just move on.
It's very short.
Let's just move
No,
on.
but
Tim, can we just move on?
It couldn't be a building.
what's wrong?
Well, because we've already
What's wrong with
done.
discussion?
Because it's gonna, I'm gonna say, you know what? The last FEMA buyouts that were free cost us money last week. So, that's my point. is
Which one?
The motel in
Oh,
Brush Street.
oh.
So, that's my only point, is he's saying it doesn't cost money, I said, let's not talk about it.
Well, we'll
Now
have
we're
to
gonna
mow
talk about it.
We'll have to mow
So,
Okay,
We could weed whack it.
any more discussion? All in favor of
Jesus.
approving the buyout, the buyout?
this is a hard room tonight.
Civic Standard, please say aye.
For who?
Aye, me.
When you started so happy.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Why'd you look at me?
I just have one question.
Every time.
So when
Hold on, hold on. Sherry's
When are we
talking.
supposed to hear about this last round of FEMA buyouts? What's the
Which,
timeline?
what,
What's the timeline on it? Like,
For
when do
which
we
part?
find out?
For,
Just,
Like
with
can
that.
you give them an
Yeah.
update on the buyouts right now?
6 of them are back with all the money's back, it's in the state of Vermont, so it's there. They're past the appraisal stage, they're estimating that they will close within the next 2 months, they're hoping. Demolition has to happen within 3 months. The demolition
Or
company.
they don't get held up by a bat review and, you know,
There
these
is
kind of
one that
things.
might be held up by a bat review, but we will cross that bridge
I
when we
mean,
get to it.
that's kind of what I'm asking, like, how
Yeah.
long does it
Well,
drag
so
out?
let's say-
Because
let's
does
say
it
that
drag
one-
out beyond
Take it.
when
Don't get me
we
started.
potentially start construction on the bridge? Like, is there something that we should be looking at where the
If we're
entrance
gonna
to the
tear it
bridge
down, we
can
should
be-
tear it down before the bridge project, the long
Right?
project.
Or-
Because
or
then there
yes,
might
for
be
sure.
a better,
Access
know.
point.
Oh, absolutely, it'd be a lot better project if that building wasn't there.
Well, for this is gonna take
Yeah, go for
this is gonna take 1 to 2 years.
okay.
This is, it got into, the funding has been given to the state of Vermont, but it goes to FEMA. And so it's gonna take time. Everything else is at FEMA or come back from FEMA.
Okay.
This
Because if that
is,
wasn't
this
there,
is,
it'd be, yes,
they
automatically
reviewed it, they said it's eligible, they just fixed up, and they still have the funding to pick it up.
Training.
But it needs time. It's gonna be a while. Yeah, this is not
It'd be
a,
interesting to have that amount of construction
ways to
happening
get rid
right
of
next to it.
yeah. Well, unfortunately, it can't.
Just kidding.
No.
You know what happened in the flood zone, right?
Yeah,
Don't
sorry.
Okay, that's my question, thank you.
Night after we voted to buy the floodway.
All right, so next, we reached the end of the items, so select board reports, new business, old business, and before we dive into those, we have to, there's a note, we need to sign the social media policy that we approved last time. So
Let's do it.
pass that around. But now's the time for.
Thank you.
reports.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Rose. Any select board reports, new business, old business, now's the time.
Gosh, I'm just,
The townhouse will be opening for the season on March 1st, so, and it sounds like we might have a couple of events that
that's
happen
that
in
next
March.
Saturday.
I know.
Yeah, it's coming up.
That's why the snow needs to be cleared from the entryways
And do that is wait several minutes.
so we can access it.
We've got a new,
Want me to do that for you?
I think we got the car.
I can do that.
Great.
Oh, Danny's
Yeah.
volunteering.
Yeah, Danny's
Just don't knock off
I'm gonna
any
bill a Hardwick. I'm
railings
gonna bill-
or
do I
doors,
bill-
Please.
Do I bill a townhouse or do I bill Opie? Who do I bill? I'll do it.
So.
We're not in the season, so we do not do it.
That's what I'm saying. I didn't say you, I said.
If we kept up
Yeah,
with
yeah,
it through the
yeah,
season, it would be easier to
Sherry,
do.
you know I'm with you on this one. Remember, I was the one that said town meeting in the townhouse this year, no matter what. Remember that? I'm not the one that
It
called it
will
out.
be next year.
Next year. So, any other reports, new business, old business? Then let's adjourn. Thank you, everyone. Thank you,
So, here.
HGTV.